The medbay lights flickered weakly as smoke drifted through the shattered corridors of the alien ship. The battle outside had ended, but the screams still echoed. Machines hummed, sparks snapped, and the smell of burned metal and blood filled the air. Lieutenant Aaron Hayes walked slowly through the wreckage, his medical kit slung across his shoulder. He was tired, bruised, but still moving. The Galactic Union had called it a peace mission. It had turned into chaos within minutes. Now he was the only human left alive in this section of the ship. Bodies of alien soldiers lined the floor, some still breathing, most not. Aaron stopped when he heard a low growl. It wasn't a weapon, it was something alive. He followed the sound to a broken chamber door where warning lights flashed red. Inside, a massive creature lay chained to the wall. Its scales shimmered like green steel. Two glowing purple eyes stared back at him. The alien beast was unlike anything Aaron had seen, part organic, part machine. Deep wounds covered its body, and its breathing came in sharp, painful bursts. Its chest armor was torn, exposing wires and flesh. Standing nearby was an alien healer, trembling behind a protective barrier. The healer's voice shook as he said, "We do not treat war beasts. It's too dangerous. It will kill you." Aaron knelt beside the shattered door, looking at the creature. "It's dying," he said quietly. The healer's metallic crest twitched. "It killed 50 soldiers. Let it die." "That is mercy," Aaron ignored him. He stepped closer, his boots echoing against the metal floor. The beast tensed, eyes flicking toward him. The growl deepened. Its massive claws scraped against the deck, but it couldn't move far. The chains dug into its skin. Aaron slowly crouched. "Easy," he whispered, keeping his voice calm. "I'm not here to hurt you," the alien healer shouted. "Human! Stop! It understands only pain! It will tear you apart." But the human didn't listen. He took a scanner from his kit and waved it over the creature's chest. The display flickered with unreadable alien text. He didn't need the translation to see the truth. Internal bleeding, broken ribs, failing implants. Without help, the creature wouldn't last an hour. Aaron took a deep breath. He looked at the beast's eyes again. Beneath the rage and pain, there was fear. The kind of fear he had seen in soldiers, in civilians, in dying comrades. He recognized it instantly. "You're scared," he said softly. "It's okay." The creature's breathing slowed. Its glowing eyes blinked once, uncertain. The healer hissed from behind the barrier. "You fool!" "It cannot understand compassion. It is a weapon, not a living being." Aaron shook his head. "Everything alive understands kindness." He removed his gloves, ignoring the alarms from his scanner. The creature's skin was hot, trembling beneath his touch. For a second it flinched, but then it stopped resisting. The growl faded to a low, broken rumble. "Easy, big guy," Aaron whispered. "You're gonna be fine." The words were simple, quiet. But they carried something strange, something the alien healer could not understand. The creature's eyes glowed softer, the purple hue dimming into a calm pulse. Its breathing steadied just slightly. Aaron worked fast. He used medical foam, sealed the bleeding wounds, and reconnected a few power lines running through its chest. It was messy work, half surgery, half guesswork. He could feel the beast's gaze on him, watching every move. When he looked up, the healer was still frozen behind the barrier. "You risk your life for a monster," the alien muttered. "Why?" Aaron wiped sweat from his forehead. "Because someone has to," the healer said nothing. For the first time in its long career, it didn't know what to say. Aaron sat back, exhausted. The beast was still alive. Not healed, not whole, but alive. Its chest rose and fell in slow, steady rhythm. He leaned close, almost whispering again. "You hang in there, okay? We're not done yet." The creature blinked. Its claws relaxed. The growl turned into a faint hum, almost like a purr echoing through the chamber. Aaron smiled slightly. "That's it." "Good boy." The alien healer stared in disbelief. "It listens to you." Aaron stood, grabbing his kit. "It doesn't need orders. It needs a reason to trust." Outside, the ship groaned under distant explosions. The war wasn't over, but in that moment on that broken ship, something far more powerful had begun. A bond that would make the entire galaxy question what humanity truly was. The corridor outside the medbay was a ruin. Pipes hissed steam, lights flickered, and distant alarms wailed through the alien ship's bones. Lieutenant Aaron Hayes stood at the doorway, hands still trembling from the surgery he wasn't supposed to survive. Behind him, the massive creature stirred. Its breathing had grown stronger, steadier. The medical foam had sealed most of its wounds, and the wires he'd reconnected pulsed faintly with blue light. Aaron turned to check one more time. "Still with me, huh?" he said quietly. The beast blinked. For a moment it almost looked curious. Then it lowered its head again, exhausted. The alien healer, still behind the protective field, couldn't stop staring. "You should not have lived through that," he whispered. "It should have ripped you apart," Aaron shrugged tiredly. "Guess it didn't feel like it." He picked up his kit and began packing it. His hands moved on muscle memory alone, fast, careful, human. The healer's crest flicked in disbelief. "You humans? You speak to monsters as if they are children." Aaron glanced at him. "Maybe that's why they listen." He turned back to the creature. It watched him now, silent and still. Its eyes glowed faintly in the dim blue light. There was no more growling, no more struggle. Only the quiet hum of trust forming between two beings that should have been enemies. Suddenly the ship shuddered. Bulkheads groaned, and the emergency lights turned red again. The computer's mechanical voice echoed in alien tongue. Aaron didn't need translation to understand. Something was wrong. The healer stiffened. "Reactor breach. The wounded decks will be sealed," Aaron frowned. "You mean locked down?" The healer nodded slowly. "Yes, everything in this section will be purged." Aaron's heart dropped. He looked at the beast lying on the floor. It couldn't move, not in its condition. If they stayed, both of them would burn. He ran to the control panel beside the door. The alien interface glowed with unfamiliar symbols. "Can we override it?" The healer hesitated. "Not from here. The command link is severed." Aaron slammed his fist against the console. "Damn it!" The creature stirred at the sound, lifting its head weakly. Its eyes focused on him, and for a heartbeat, it almost seemed to understand the danger. Aaron exhaled slowly, trying to think. His mind worked through chaos and exhaustion. There had to be another way out. Then he noticed it. The vent at the far end of the chamber, large enough for a person, maybe even a wounded creature, to crawl through. But the duct's inner walls glowed faintly. Energy currents ran through it. If they touched that, they'd be fried instantly. Aaron turned to the healer. "Can you shut down the conduit?" The healer hesitated again. "Why would you risk your life for that beast? The purge will erase all evidence. You could escape if you leave it." Aaron looked at the creature again, then back at the healer. "Because I didn't save it just to watch it die." The alien said nothing. After a long silence, he moved to a control panel. His three-fingered hands trembled as he keyed in a command. The glowing conduits flickered and went dark. "You have 5 minutes before it restarts." Aaron didn't waste a second. He knelt beside the beast. "Hey, big guy, we're moving. You with me?" The creature gave a low rumble somewhere between pain and acknowledgement. Its body shifted slightly, muscles tense beneath scarred skin. Aaron slid an arm under its massive head and pressed gently against its neck. "Come on, easy now." It moved slowly, one claw at a time. Every step shook the floor. The sound of metal scraping echoed through the chamber, but it followed him. The healer watched, disbelief plain in his eyes. No one had ever seen a war beast obey. As they reached the vent, the creature hesitated. Its eyes met Aaron's again. "Go," Aaron urged. "I'll be right behind you." For a moment, it didn't move. Then, with a deep growl, it forced its bulk into the vent, metal groaning under its weight. Sparks rained from the edges, but it kept crawling. Aaron climbed in after it, pulling his medkit along. Behind them, the medbay lights began to flash red again. The purge countdown started, loud, mechanical, final. The healer called out from behind the barrier, voice trembling. "Human, if you survive this, the council will want to know your name." Aaron looked back, half smiling. "Tell them it's the one who said, 'Easy, big guy.'" Then he disappeared into the dark vent, following the wounded beast through the narrow tunnel as the ship trembled behind them. The metal walls vibrated as Aaron crawled through the narrow duct behind the wounded creature. The vent was hot, the air thick with smoke and ozone. Every few meters, sparks snapped across the surface where the energy currents were beginning to return. The creature moved slowly ahead, its massive frame scraping against the sides. Its scales were cracked and blackened in places, leaving faint trails of blood and coolant. Each breath it took sounded heavy and painful, yet it kept going, pushed forward by something more powerful than instinct. Aaron's knees burned from the heat of the metal. He dragged his medkit with one hand, his flashlight clenched between his teeth. The sound of the purge alarms echoed faintly through the ducts, mechanical, heartless, and counting down to their deaths. "Come on, big guy," he muttered through gritted teeth. "Just a little more." The creature rumbled softly, the sound vibrating through the metal. It wasn't fear anymore, it was effort. It understood now that Aaron wasn't an enemy. Behind them, a deep roar shook the ship. The purge sequence had begun. Fire burst through the distant chambers, consuming everything in orange light. Aaron glanced back once. The heat wave rushed toward them like a living storm. "Move!" he shouted, pushing forward. The creature forced its body faster, claws scraping furiously. Aaron crawled after it, lungs burning. The narrow tunnel shook violently, and for a moment he thought it would collapse. Then, suddenly, the duct opened into a wide maintenance bay. The beast fell through first, landing heavily on the metal floor with a painful growl. Aaron dropped after it, rolling to the side just as a surge of fire erupted from the vent behind them. The hatch sealed itself, cutting off the flames. Aaron lay there, coughing, staring at the ceiling. His chest rose and fell rapidly, sweat dripping into his eyes. The creature let out a low groan. Its body trembled, but it was alive. The glow from its eyes dimmed to a soft, tired pulse. Aaron sat up and reached for his kit. "You did good," he said between breaths. "Real good." He scanned the wounds again. The heat had reopened some of the deeper ones. He worked fast, injecting foam sealant, reconnecting a few broken veins with the alien biopatch he'd scavenged earlier. His hands shook, but his focus never wavered. Minutes passed in tense silence. Outside, the ship's engines rumbled faintly like distant thunder. The entire vessel was dying piece by piece. When Aaron finished, he leaned back and sighed. "There, that should hold you for a while." The creature blinked slowly. Then, in a strange, almost deliberate movement, it lowered its head toward him. Its forehead brushed lightly against his chest. Aaron froze. He could feel the weight, the warmth, the steady rhythm of its breathing. It wasn't a threat. It was gratitude. "Guess we're partners now," he said softly. He reached out, resting his gloved hand on the creature's jaw. It didn't flinch this time. Then the sound of heavy footsteps echoed from the corridor outside. Aaron turned sharply. Through the shattered door, shadows moved. Tall, armored figures, carrying alien rifles. Soldiers. The creature growled, eyes flaring bright purple again. Aaron whispered quickly, "No, easy! They'll kill you if you move." He stepped in front of the creature just as the soldiers entered. Their weapons snapped up instantly, targeting the beast. "Hold fire!" Aaron yelled, raising his hands. The lead soldier hesitated. "That thing is a war unit." "Step aside, human." Aaron didn't move. "It's injured." "It's not a threat anymore." The alien soldier barked something in his own language, glancing nervously at the glowing beast. "Our orders are to eliminate all biological hazards." Aaron's jaw tightened. "You call this a hazard? It's alive." "It's not your enemy." The creature growled again, the sound deep enough to make the metal floor hum. Aaron turned quickly and pressed a hand against its neck. "Easy, big guy. Don't, trust me." The soldiers shifted uneasily. The beast's eyes flicked from Aaron to them, then back to Aaron. Slowly, it stopped growling. The lead soldier lowered his weapon slightly. "You have control over it?" Aaron exhaled. "No one has control, but it trusts me." The alien soldier hesitated, then nodded. "We cannot stay here. The ship is breaking apart. There is an escape hangar 2 decks above. Help us move it if you want it to live." Aaron nodded without hesitation. "You heard him," he said to the creature. "Up we go." The beast let out a weary rumble but began to move again. The soldiers stepped aside, eyes wide with disbelief as the human and the monster walked, side by side through the ruins. None of them realized yet that this moment, the sight of a human guiding a war beast with nothing but calm. Words would soon spread across the galaxy, and when it did, it would shake every species that thought they understood what humanity was. The hangar doors were half buried under debris, twisted metal glowing red from the fires spreading through the ship. The emergency lights strobed across shattered vessels and floating fragments of alien machinery. Smoke curled along the ceiling like a living thing. Every breath felt heavier than the last. Aaron moved carefully, one hand resting on the creature's neck as they crossed the wreckage-strewn floor. Behind them, 2 alien soldiers followed, tense and alert. Their weapons stayed ready, but their eyes betrayed something closer to disbelief than fear. The alien beast limped forward, wounded but unbroken. Each step echoed with dull weight, claws scraping against steel. Its purple eyes glowed faintly, scanning the room for danger. The silence between its breaths was louder than any gunfire. Aaron stopped at the base of a shattered walkway. Above them, a small emergency shuttle was still docked, its lights flickering weakly. "That's our ride," he said. "If it still works," the lead alien soldier hissed under his breath. "Those shuttles are for command only." Aaron shot him a tired glance. "Then it's a good day to break the rules." He motioned for the soldiers to cover the rear while he guided the creature closer. The ramp was half extended, bent and sparking. The beast looked at it uncertainly, then at Aaron. "It'll hold," Aaron said softly. "One step at a time," the creature rumbled low, hesitant. Its front claws pressed onto the ramp. Metal groaned, then held. Another step, another breath. The soldiers flinched every time it moved. Aaron stayed beside it, whispering under his breath, voice steady and calm. "Easy, big guy. You've got this." Halfway up the ramp, the entire hangar shook. A deafening boom ripped through the floor. One of the reactors below had failed. The shockwave threw sparks across the ceiling and sent a wall of smoke rolling toward them. "Move!" Aaron shouted. The beast lunged forward, dragging its heavy body onto the ramp. The structure creaked but didn't collapse. The soldiers scrambled after them, shouting in their native tongue. Then came the sound, high-pitched, mechanical, and sharp. Aaron spun around to see a swarm of drone sentinels emerging from the broken ceiling. Red lights flickered on their weapons. The ship's automated defense system had activated. "Get inside!" Aaron yelled. Laser fire erupted through the hangar. The soldiers ducked behind wreckage, returning fire. Sparks exploded around them. Aaron grabbed the creature's forelimb and pulled. "Come on, inside now!" The beast turned its massive head toward the drones. Its eyes flared bright violet, and a guttural snarl rolled through the room, a sound of pain and fury combined. "Don't!" Aaron barked. "Don't fight, just move!" But it didn't listen this time. With a roar that shook the floor, the creature reared up, smashing one of its claws into the air. The shockwave threw several drones off balance. Plasma bolts struck its armored hide and sizzled against its scales. Aaron's heart pounded. He ran forward, climbed the ramp, and hit the shuttle's manual override. The engine sputtered to life with a painful hum. Come on," he muttered. The soldiers fired their last rounds and dove into the shuttle just as another explosion tore through the hangar wall. The beast followed, dragging its heavy frame through the doorway. The ramp collapsed behind it, vanishing into fire. Inside, the creature crouched, breathing hard. Smoke and light poured through the cracks in the hull. Aaron stumbled into the pilot's seat and slammed his hand onto the ignition. The shuttle lurched upward, trembling violently as the docking clamps gave way. "Hold together," he whispered. "Just hold together." Through the cockpit window, the alien soldiers stared in awe as the massive war beast sat motionless, watching the inferno fade beneath them. Its glowing eyes reflected the dying ship, the smoke, and finally, Aaron's reflection. He looked back at it. For a long moment, neither moved. The chaos outside faded into silence. Aaron finally spoke, his voice low. "You didn't have to fight back there." The creature's gaze softened. It blinked slowly, almost like a nod. Aaron exhaled and leaned against the chair. "Guess we both still need to learn when to run." The soldiers exchanged uneasy looks, whispering to each other in disbelief. One finally asked, "Human, what do you call that thing?" Aaron looked at the creature, then gave a small, tired smile. A survivor! The shuttle drifted away from the burning wreck, engines humming against the cold darkness of space. The war had taken everything from them, but somewhere in that silent void, something new had been born. Not alliance. Not ownership. Understanding. The shuttle broke through the atmosphere like a wounded bird. Fire streaked across the sky, painting it in red and gold as the engines screamed in protest. Aaron gritted his teeth, wrestling the controls. Every warning light on the console was flashing. The hull rattled as the ship pushed through thick clouds of green mist. Below, the surface of the alien planet came into view, an endless forest of glowing trees and black stone ridges. Rivers of molten silver flowed like veins of light, and storms of dust rolled across the horizon. It was beautiful and deadly at the same time. The alien soldiers clung to their seats, muttering prayers in their native tongue. Behind them, the massive beast crouched silently, eyes half closed, still weak but alive. "Hang on!" Aaron shouted as he pulled the shuttle into a rough descent. The ship slammed through the canopy and skidded across the rocky ground. Metal tore, glass shattered, and then silence. Only the faint hiss of cooling engines and the steady beat of rain filled the air. Aaron unbuckled his harness and stumbled toward the back. "Everyone okay?" One soldier nodded shakily. The other groaned, clutching his arm. The creature shifted, the weight of its massive frame shaking the floor. Aaron knelt beside it, scanning its chest again. The wounds hadn't reopened, but its breathing was ragged. "You did good," he whispered. "We made it." The creature blinked slowly, a faint glow pulsing behind its eyes. It made a low sound, softer than before, a sound Aaron had begun to recognize as trust. Then the forest outside erupted with noise. Something moved beyond the broken ramp. Shapes in the mist, tall, thin, with glimmering armor and curved weapons. Dozens of them. The alien soldiers stiffened. "The Lokari scouts!" one hissed. "They hunt anything that crashes near their territory," Aaron cursed under his breath. "So they're not here to help?" "No," the soldier replied grimly. "They're here to finish what the war started." Aaron glanced back at the beast. "Not happening." He grabbed his pulse pistol, small, human-made, but reliable. "If they want to fight, they'll get one." The soldiers took positions near the entrance, weapons aimed toward the fog. The first Lokari stepped into view, its crystalline armor reflecting the shuttle's dying lights. It looked almost insect-like, slender, graceful, and cold. It raised its weapon. The creature inside the shuttle growled, a low, thunderous sound that shook the air. The Lokari froze, startled. The sound rolled through the trees like an ancient storm. Aaron didn't hesitate. "Stay behind me!" he barked, stepping forward. The Lokari shouted something in their clicking language and fired. Plasma bolts streaked through the air, tearing into the wreckage. Aaron ducked, returning fire. The soldiers joined in, shouting orders. Then the beast moved. It rose, slow and deliberate, filling the doorway with its enormous form. The purple light from its eyes illuminated the forest mist. When it roared this time, the sound wasn't anger, it was warning. The Lokari stumbled back, their courage faltering. One of them shouted, "The war beast lives!" Aaron stepped beside it, smoke rising around him. "And so does the human who healed it," he said. The Lokari hesitated. No one moved. The air buzzed with energy and tension. The creature looked down at Aaron. He nodded once, almost like an unspoken signal. The beast lifted its head and bellowed again, louder this time. The sound cracked through the trees, echoing for miles. The Lokari broke. They scattered into the fog, leaving only silence behind. Aaron exhaled, lowering his weapon. "Didn't even have to fight," he muttered. The soldiers stared at him, speechless. One finally said, "That roar, it wasn't for them. It was for you. It was protecting you." Aaron looked back at the creature. Rain trickled down its metal-plated scales. Its eyes glowed softly, calm again. He smiled faintly. "Yeah," he said. "Guess we're protecting each other now." From the distance, flashes of light shimmered in the sky, ships scanning the surface. The Union would come soon, and when they found what had survived here, a human, a monster, and an act of mercy, they would never see things the same way again. Somewhere deep inside the galaxy, the story had already begun to spread. The human who saved the beast that chose not to kill, and a whisper that would soon echo across every world. No alien would treat the monster until the human whispered, "Easy, big guy." The Union Council chamber was built from light and glass. It floated above the clouds of Arak Prime, where every species met to judge, to command, and to decide what counted as life. Today, the chamber was silent. No arguments. No chatter. Just the whisper of fear. Because the doors had opened, and a human had walked in. Lieutenant Aaron Hayes moved slowly across the gleaming floor, the faint sound of his boots echoing like a heartbeat in a tomb. He looked worn, clothes scorched, bandages on his arms. But his eyes, steady, calm, didn't belong to a man broken by war. They belonged to someone who had seen something no one else understood. Behind him, the sound came, heavy, rhythmic, alive. The alien beast entered. Gasps rippled through the room. Delegates stood. Guards reached for weapons but froze when the council speaker raised a trembling hand. The creature stopped beside Aaron, its eyes glowing faint violet in the chamber's light. Scars covered its armored hide, but it held its head high, proud, unafraid. The floor trembled slightly under its weight, yet it made no sound of aggression, just quiet, deliberate presence. The speaker's voice cracked as he spoke. That thing was classified as a planetary weapon. How is it still alive? Aaron's voice was quiet but steady. Because someone didn't give up on it, another counselor hissed. You disobeyed a direct order. You treated a war beast. You risked lives. You should be disciplined, not honored. Aaron met his gaze. Then discipline me. But remember, your medics refused to treat it because they called it a monster. I treated it because I saw a living being in pain. The chamber fell silent again. The creature shifted slightly, lowering its head to Aaron's shoulder level. The gesture made several guards step back instinctively. But Aaron didn't move. He simply placed a hand on its jaw, calm and familiar. It listens to you, the speaker said softly. No, Aaron replied. It trusts me. There's a difference. From the upper levels of the chamber, a new hologram flickered to life, recordings taken from the destroyed ship. The images played across the air, a human kneeling beside a dying beast whispering softly. Easy, big guy. The chamber went completely still. The counselors, generals, and ambassadors, creatures who commanded fleets and conquered worlds, watched that moment in silence. The words, simple and human, echoed like a hymn through the hall. The speaker finally whispered, "It understood you." Aaron nodded. Not the words. The feeling, one of the alien commanders leaned forward. It killed hundreds in the war. How do we know it won't kill again? Aaron looked up at the creature beside him. Because it chose not to. The beast's eyes met the commander's for a long, heavy second. No growl, no snarl, just quiet strength. Then Aaron turned back to the council. Maybe that's what you all don't get. We humans, we don't conquer with fear. We connect with something deeper. Empathy, loyalty, trust. The things no scanner can measure. A murmur spread through the room. The speaker stood. And what would you have us do, human? Free it? Parade it as proof of your species' compassion? Aaron's gaze softened. No, I'd have you learn from it. He took a deep breath. Because if a human and a war beast can stand side by side after everything we've done to each other, then maybe there's hope for this whole damn galaxy. The chamber fell silent again. But this time it wasn't fear. It was realization. The creature turned, facing the council directly. It let out a low, steady sound, a hum that filled the room like a living heartbeat. Not a roar, not a threat. Something gentler. Something alive. The speaker stared, then slowly lowered his crest. Record this meeting, he said. Let history remember what was witnessed here today. Aaron smiled faintly and whispered, almost to himself, Easy, big guy. The creature blinked once, then lowered its head in quiet acknowledgement. Across the galaxy, the footage spread of a human and a monster standing together before the greatest powers in the universe. And from that day onward, whenever soldiers, healers, and explorers faced the unknown, they repeated the same words that started it all. Not as an order, not as a command, but as a reminder. Easy, big guy. Because sometimes the smallest human words can heal the biggest scars in the universe.